Your Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency reminds you that now is a great time to take a look at your boating equipment and examine your own safety habits. Remember, safe boating is everyone's responsibility. This week on Tennessee Outdoor Journal, we'll start off with Sauger Brood Collection. Next up, Archery 101, choosing a bow.
We can put any style sight on the bow, any style arrow rest, any stabilizer, whatever accessories they want.
And we'll finish off with a Drop the Tailgate at AEDC Wildlife Management Area.
So that's one of the questions that I answer all the time. You know, where can I park?
Tennessee Outdoor Journal is opening the cover and inviting you in for some outdoor tips, tricks, and behind-the-scenes look at the work being done by your Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Let's turn the page. What kind of legacy will we leave when our days upon this earth are gone? Tell me who will carry on this work that we've begun, care enough to be the keeper of the dream. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Tennessee Outdoor Journal.
We are on Old Hickory Reservoir, just below Cordell Hole Dam, trying to get Sauger brood for our hatchery.
We got two kinds of nets. There's experimental nets and just our Sauger brood nets. These are a little longer, so we'll have to get a little more angle and have to get across.
Sure, we're out here today getting these brood fish because similar to striped bass with the dam systems, it's really prohibited their natural ability to reproduce. So in order to produce a fishery, our job is to come out here and collect brood fish for our hatchery so the hatcheries can spawn these fish artificially, and then they can be reintroduced back into these water bodies for anglers to enjoy.
This is just the anchor used to keep the net on the bottom, and then the float line will be on the top, and that way the net stays set like it should, vertical in the water column.
We can't electrofish for sauger. It's just not an effective gear, so we're out here today using gill nets. These fish often sit along the bottom of the river, and that's how fishermen fish for them too. They know they're down there. So yeah, we've got to use gill nets that stretch from roughly the bottom. They sit on the bottom and they come up maybe about 10 feet. And that's the best way that we can get them, and the safest way, and the way that's best for the fish.
We'll see several year classes when we do this. I mean, you could have a year old, and then some of the females we're getting could be 3 or 4 years old, and that's some of our best producing fish. And that's the thing too, you know, people don't realize how long it takes the fish to get to the size that they're catching.
Some of the steps that we take to ensure that the fish are healthy is whenever we pull them up with the gill net, we take it easy on the fish. We usually, instead of trying to force that fish through the net, we'll cut the netting around the fish to ease it out, and then it goes straight into a holding tank so that fish is in the water, back in the water immediately, and it reduces the time that it's out of water. We're able to tell male and female on these fish by just squeezing their belly a little bit, and the males will have milk come out of the vent, and then the females will not have anything come out, and we just assume that those are eggs in there. When the females get really ripe, or the eggs get close to being expelled, you are able to push the eggs out, but that's not our goal. So we're very gentle on the fish while we press on the belly.
Optimally, you want 2 males to 1 female, but as tough as it is to get brood like we're doing, if we can get one male to one female, we're doing pretty good. I haven't added the numbers yet, but we may actually be about at 1-to-1 this year, which is very uncommon. That's why we came early, to catch the males before they start moving on out in March.
I think we got 83 fish today, which is an awesome day. It's a really good day for us. And with those 83 fish, we'll produce hundreds of thousands of offspring that can be stocked back into Old Hickory.
Hey, this is Michael Parsley with the TWRA. We're here today at the Archery Den, and I'm talking with Matt Eddy, who's going to help us and tell us how to pick out the right bow for someone that wants to go out and archery hunt this fall. Matt, what should people be looking for when they go out and pick a bow?
Well, first thing that I want somebody to look for is, what is your comfort zone? If you don't have time to practice, if you don't have time to shoot throughout the year, first thing I want to look at is maybe a crossbow is best for you. Once you get a crossbow sighted in, it's kind of like a rifle. It's got a scope. They're simple to use. They're pretty low maintenance. Maybe the crossbow is the way to go. Additionally, if a compound is the way you want to go, you want to go more the way of traditional archery, first we have to get your draw length set. If your draw length is wrong, then you're going to be shooting all over the place. The second thing, biggest thing I see in bows other than the wrong draw length is a guy gets too much bow. He wants to shoot a 70-pound bow, and he may not be comfortable pulling a 70-pound bow yet. He may be able to do it, but he can only do it once and he's worn out. That also creates bad technique. So getting the right draw length, getting your draw length measured, which is what we do every time I sell a bow, that's where we start. What's your draw length and what poundage were you shooting on your last bow? Or if you haven't shot, let's start with lower poundage. The next thing is, how tall are you? You may have a long draw length. If you have a longer draw length, then we may not want a super short bow. Short bows are great for the tree stand, but if that bow is too short, the string angle is too steep for a guy that's, say, 6'1" or 6'2". Even though the draw length may fit, we may go to a longer axle-to-axle bow that's going to fit him more comfortable and be a little more stable with the right string angle so he can hit his anchor points correctly.
Okay, so when a person comes in and wants to look at a bow with you, the first three things you're going to look at is axle to axle length, poundage, and above all, length of draw.
Draw length,
right?
Correct.
So, and when they come in here to the archery den, you'll work that out for them.
Absolutely. We built a board years ago that makes it really simple. They just put their arms up to the board and it tells us exactly what their draw length is.
Okay, and then from there they just pick out what style of bow they want and things like that. That really have nothing to do with how well they're going to shoot.
Absolutely. Sometimes the best bow is the one they're most comfortable with. So I will often take customers, they say, look, I don't know what I want. All right, this is my favorites, but here's some demos. Let's go to the back, you shoot them. Sometimes it's a bow that maybe I don't prefer, and they draw it back and the bow just, it talks to them. That's the one that they want.
And so you pick out the bow that's comfortable for them, and then you can set it up however they want it, sights and peeps and things like that, right?
Absolutely. Everything on these bows is interchangeable. We can put any style sight on the bow, any style arrow rest, any stabilizer, whatever accessories they want. And the good thing is, when you go jump into a new bow, all this stuff is interchangeable. If you get good accessories on, say, a more affordable bow today, if you want to upgrade that bow next year, they can take all those accessories to that new bow with them.
You talked about finding a bow that was comfortable for someone. Well, let's talk about one of the most important factors, price. The price, for a lot of people, that makes a bow comfortable. So talk about price on a bow.
Absolutely. There's a price for everybody in archery. We've got packages. We kind of sell a pro package, pro hunter package in the store that is a bow, sight, rest, quiver, 6 arrows, and a release. And you can get those packages anywhere from $450 all the way up to, you get into the $1,000 range. You're picking out your own accessories. The sky's the limit on the price. There are budget bows that, like I said, starting around $450 that have everything included, so it's not overwhelming for somebody who says, what all do I need? this is everything you need except for a target, and it keeps a guy from really getting overwhelmed. We can hand him one piece of equipment for $450, $550, $600, and get him started shooting it out the door.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Come on into the archery den. They'll help you pick out a comfortable bow, not only priced, but one that actually fits you and that you can actually go out and use this fall.
Thank everybody for joining us again on another Drop the Tailgate. This is a continuation of a look at some of the WMAs here in Region 2, and today I've got Wes Winton. Wes is the manager at AEDC. And Wes, I looked in the hunting guide. I've heard AEDC all my life. What does AEDC stand for?
So AEDC is Arnold Engineering and Development Complex.
Okay.
The AEDC is part of the Arnold Air Force Base.
And I drove in here. It's a lot of land. How big is this place, and how do you get it?
Right, we've got 32,000 acres of public hunting area just outside of Manchester, Tullahoma, Winchester area, split between Coffee County and Franklin County.
And it's right off of I-24.
Right off the interstate. I mean,
Okay.
part of the northern boundary is the interstate. This is a unique place that we manage a military installation, which results in a little extra complication for the regulations. Some of the restrictions on no rifles, no centerfire rifles, no rimfire rifles. That's a military regulation that we put in.
That's the whole season, right?
That's the whole season. Somebody wants to come out here and small game hunt. We've got a lot of small game hunting opportunity, but you've got to do it with a shotgun.
And what about personal carry if they've got a permit?
So personal carry, that is a regulation that the Air Force enforces on their property, all DOD installations. There are no handguns allowed on DOD regulation.
That's a good thing. I wouldn't have known, and it's a good thing to know if you're going to come out here. You can't carry your personal firearm out on the area. There is one other thing that I wanted to ask you about. Sign in. I've never gone to a WMA where I had to sign in. How does that work?
So the sign-in process is one of those things that the Air Force wants us to account for and be able to tell them at the end of the year, hey, we had 3,000 people visit AEDC this year to come hunting. And the sign-in process is how we do that. It's an easy process. It's self-service. You don't have to go to the main gate and see anybody. We've got 3 different locations, one at each main entrance. You stop in there, you'll pick up a card. It's a simple process. You'll stop in, you'll pick up one of these cards. You'll fill out the top part, drop it in the box. The second part, the bottom part, you'll fill in your name and hunter ID number.
And you keep that with you?
Well, and actually it makes it easier if you just leave it in the windshield of your vehicle.
Okay.
That way, if I stop, if one of the security guys stop and see your vehicle, we need to check you out, make sure everything's okay. They see this card, then we're good to go. Okay. Once you get done hunting, either for the day or during the quota hunts, or if you're going to come out and hunt all weekend, just write the different days that you hunted on it, finish filling it out, and drop it back off. And that's signing in and signing out. So that's a simple, easy way for us to be able to account for how many hunters, what kind of hunters we have, and be able to report that back to the Air Force at the end of the year. One of our main check-in stations is, or sign-in stations, is right off the interstate, off of Dixie Road. As soon as you get off the interstate, first paved road on the right, you can see it. Just pull in there and sign in, and you'll be good to go. But we get a lot of questions about that. So all of AEDC is broken up into 6 different management units.
Mm-hmm.
And that's done so that we can close certain units based on military training without having to close the entire area.
So they are actively training on this
So
property.
they do
like
active.
Fort Campbell.
Right. Not quite to that scale, but we're able to be here and hunt here as long as we're not affecting the military mission negatively.
Mm-hmm.
So Unit 1 and Unit 2 are the 2 main areas that are utilized for training. So when you come by the sign-in station, we'll have calendars on the board telling you when Unit 1 or Unit 2 is going to be open or closed. Units 3, 4, 5, and 6, wide open. They rarely, if ever, do training in there.
So the only ones that you got to be concerned about are Units 1 and 2.
Right.
There's still plenty of land. If you come out here planning on going to Unit 1 and it's closed, there's other places you can go.
Right.
So
there's Unit 1 is closed to all small game,
Yeah.
and it's only for deer hunting
okay.
mostly during the quota hunts, because that's where a vast majority of the training happens.
Okay.
But then Unit 2 is open and available for small game or archery or whatever.
Okay. So if you do come out here and you plan to hunt a Unit 1 or Unit 2, you might want to have an area that you know in 3, 4, or 5 that's kind of like a backup.
Right.
But just know that those situations could occur. What are your seasons out here? I know, we look in the guide and we see same as statewide, and then, so you told me you can't use rifles out here. What are the seasons?
So all of our small game season is same as statewide,
Okay.
except you can't be out small game hunting during a deer shotgun muzzleloader hunt, during the deer gun hunt. During deer season, we are archery, same as statewide, so you can bow hunt when archery season opens all the way through January the 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wide open for bow hunting only.
Yeah.
During gun season or everywhere else, you can come in here and just bow hunt
Mm-hmm.
and be able to bow hunt by yourself for the most part.
Right.
But we have young sportsman's hunts that are same as statewide. So we've got a young sportsman's hunt the end of October, and then another one at the end of season, second weekend in January.
Okay.
But our 2 big hunts are going to be our 2 shotgun muzzleloader quota hunts that
Okay.
you have to get drawn for.
Mm-hmm.
We'll draw out 900 for each one of those hunts, which sounds like a lot, but it's a large area, and everybody can kind of spread out and work it out that way. But those will be our 2 big popular weekends where everybody falls in here with a shotgun or muzzleloader, and we kill a lot of deer on those hunts. We'll kill 250 deer on a 3-day hunt.
Really?
So those are super fun hunts. Lots of successful hunters come out.
You got plenty of space for these hunters to get out on, but how do they get out on it? I know I drove a couple of main roads, but are there access areas that you can get back into the property?
So that's one of the questions that I answer all the time. Where can I park, and how can I get to certain places? So out here, if it's a gravel road that's not closed off by a gate, you can drive out there. Now, there are places that's closed off by gate or a cable or whatever. Don't drive there. But if it's a gravel road, you can drive down, and when you decide I'm going to go hunt here, pull off the road, get out of the way a little bit, park and go hunt.
Okay.
So, and that's the same way on the main roads as well. There's plenty of places to pull off and park. Just watch out, don't get stuck in a wet spot.
I know some WMAs have antler restrictions. Is there anything like that out here? And some WMAs have bonus deer.
Right.
What do you have out here, and is it for the whole season, or is it just for quota hunts?
There are no antler restrictions for AEDC.
Okay.
So it's same as statewide. If it's an illegal deer, you can harvest that.
That's my kind of hunting right there.
So during the archery hunts, if you kill a buck, if you kill an antlered deer, that counts towards your statewide limit.
Okay.
But during the quota hunts, if you kill an antlered deer, that is a bonus deer.
Okay.
So on the quota hunts, we allow hunters to kill 2 deer, 1 doe, 1 buck, or 2 does.
Okay.
So
Only one can be antlered.
only one can be antlered.
Unique part of this WMA is we don't own it. We're allowed to use it.
Yep.
What type of management do you do out here?
So that is one of the unique features here, that we don't own the property. The Air Force owns the property, and so we have to coordinate our management activities with them and through them to make sure that we're meeting the requirements that they set forth. So they have final say on some of the stuff that we do and some of the stuff that we don't do. We've got a wide variety of habitat here. We've got oak flats, we've got pine stands, and we've got open fields. We've got early successional fields where we, quail and rabbit habitat. We do, we've got some sharecrop farming on the place, so there are, agricultural fields for openings and food plots and that kind of thing.
Terrain seems to be pretty nice and easy terrain.
It is, and that's, we get a lot of squirrel hunters come here because it's easy hunting. You get up on the north end, and for the most part, it's flat. You can walk and walk and walk. A little bit hilly, and I say hilly as a Middle Tennessee relative term. A little bit hilly around the lake in some areas, but for the most part, people love to come out here and hunt, especially small game and squirrel and raccoon hunt, just because it's easy walking.
Are there other opportunities for people to come out to AEDC, and what are they?
So here on AEDC, we've got Woods Reservoir. So Woods Reservoir is controlled and operated, and water level fluctuated by the Air Force. They use that water for cooling industrial area. There's fishing opportunities, there's boating opportunities. On Woods Reservoir we have duck blinds. So there's waterfowl hunting opportunities there as well.
And those are drawn back in August, right?
Those are drawn back in August and allotted out, and we're getting close to waterfowl season, so blinds ought to be ready, and hunters excited about that.
Those blinds out on Woods Reservoir, when we talked about the blinds, is that all boat access only, or are there weighted blinds?
So some of the blinds on Woods Reservoir are pretty much boat in only. There are a handful that are walk-in blinds. For the most part, every blind on Woods Reservoir you can get to by boat. But Woods Reservoir is not the only waterfowl hunting opportunity we have here on AEDC. On the north end in Unit 6, around Sinking Pond, and some of the areas up there will seasonally flood, flooded timber. So there's flooded timber hunting opportunities as well.
And those would be walk-in, first come, first
Those
serve.
are walk-in, first come, first serve. You show up and kind of scout your spot out and set up, throw some decoys out and see what happens.
And for any of you wanting to go to Woods Reservoir and getting a blind, if you hadn't been drawn, you'll have to wait at least till daylight and find an unoccupied blind. That's statewide. So, but that walk-in area would be a great opportunity for somebody wanting to get into waterfowl hunting and just feel it out a little bit and see how it goes. So is there anything else that I'm missing? You've got no antler restrictions. You've got restrictions on what you can carry on this property. You can't carry any centerfire rifles, no rimfire rifles. You can't carry a personal handgun with a permit or not. You can't carry one.
Yep. And we've got a lot of property here, and unfortunately there's no ATVs allowed on the property. I get that question regularly. If a hunter comes out and harvests a deer, he's got to work, drag it out or cart it out or whatever, but there's no ATVs allowed on the Department of Defense property.
Understandable. Oh, there's one other thing I was going to ask you. It is military base. In the guide it says you may run into something out there, and what would that look like? What would they need to do?
So back in the World War II days, They did a lot of military training out here, a lot of tank training. They had hand grenade ranges, they had old bazooka ranges where they shot. So it is possible for hunters to run into or find unexploded ordnances. The Air Force and all Department of Defense lands have made extraordinary efforts to clean that up, but there's still a possibility to find that. So if you find something that looks like it might explode, you know, whether that be an old hand grenade, an old tank mine, or a finned rocket-propelled grenade thing, don't touch that, stay away from it. Give us a call. At all of our sign-in locations, there's information on who to call if you were to find something like that.
32,000 acres, AEDC and Woods Reservoir out here, and if you've never been to it, this year might be a good time to check it out. You can archery hunt all year long. Of course, if you didn't get signed up in June and July for the quota hunts, then you're out of luck for those, but it'd be a great time to come out and archery hunt, maybe scout around and see if you want to put in for a quota hunt next year. And then of course the duck hunting wade-in area, another good opportunity for everybody. Wes, I appreciate you
Yes, sir.
talking to me and letting me know about this place.
This is an excellent little gym here in Middle Tennessee. I mean, AEDC's been operating as a wildlife management area since the mid-1950s. So we've got a long history of being here, a long history of deer harvest, a long history of small game hunting. So lots of tradition and lots of opportunity for new folks that want to get into that tradition.
Good deal. And you can find all the information about AEDC in the hunting guide. You can find the location. If you want to look at a map, go to tnwildlife.org and click on WMA maps and zoom right down to AEDC, and you'll find directions to get to a check station or whatever you're looking for. But thanks again for watching, and Wes,
Thank you for coming out. Look forward to seeing everybody.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Tennessee Outdoor Journal. We'll see you next time. Tennessee Outdoor Journal is produced by your Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Tell me who will carry on this work that we've begun. Care enough to be the keeper of the dream, this legacy.
Hi, I'm Charlie Daniels. When I was a kid, I loved baseball and football and all kind of stuff, but my favorite pastime was when my daddy would get me up early in the morning, we'd go hunting or fishing. Out in the fresh air, on the water, or back in the woods, and you learn a lot. You got kids, take them hunting, take them fishing. Join me. Buy a hunting or fishing license. Let's keep wildlife in Tennessee. That's a doggone good thing.
Buy your license today at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.